In Part 1, we covered Coconut Grove's lifestyle, schools, commute, and price position. If you missed it, the link is in the description. Now we are going under the listing photos. On 87% of Coconut Grove's single-family parcels, the land value alone is larger than the total tax assessment. That is not a typo. It is the market telling you what buyers here are really buying. We ran the numbers across the property records, and the Grove starts looking less like a neighborhood of houses and more like a land market with roofs attached. We pulled the numbers. Alejandro gets the first pass because somehow even a spreadsheet in Coconut Grove has a lifestyle angle.
Coconut Grove still looks like a leafy, single-family prestige neighborhood from the street. Big trees, old houses, village energy, and enough charm to make a buyer forget they came here to be rational. But the data set says something different. Condos make up 59% of the in-scope residential records. Single-family homes make up about 41%. Townhomes were listed in the scope, but our data set found 0. So the Grove is really two markets sharing one name. One is the condo market. The other is the single-family land market. And those two markets behave very differently. The single-family stock is old. The median single-family home was built in 1956. More than 13% predates 1950. At the same time, 31% of all in-scope properties were built after the year 2000, mostly because condos carried the new construction overlay. That is why price per square foot can get lazy here very quickly. In Coconut Grove, the square footage is often not the asset. It is the thing sitting on the asset. Andrew has the part where the land starts bullying the building.
We ran the numbers across 13,022 parcel records in Coconut Grove. After filtering to the residential properties that matter here, the data set includes 10,372 homes and condos. Here is the core value signal. For single-family homes, the median land to total ratio is 141%. In plain English, the land value is so dominant that it exceeds the total assessment on the typical parcel. That sounds impossible until you add Florida's Save Our Homes mechanism. Homesteaded properties are capped at 3% annual assessment increases. If an owner has held for decades, assessed value can fall far below the current market. Land keeps reacting to market pressure. The total assessment stays restrained by tax history. That is how you get 3,674 single-family parcels showing a land value market signal. The physical side confirms it. The median single-family lot is 7,500 square feet. More than 31% sit on 10,000 square feet or more. Our teardown screen found 2,187 moderate single-family candidates and 580 strong candidates. 276 strong candidates have land values above $1 million. If you want the next deep dive to cover a specific community, put that community in the comments and subscribe. We record the one viewers ask for, and you will know first. Vladimir can explain why this is not just a pricing story.
The pricing implication is simple, but not small. A buyer who values Coconut Grove single-family homes mainly by livable square footage is starting from the wrong end of the property. The structure matters, condition matters, renovation matters, but the dataset keeps pointing back to the land. At the top of the teardown list, one main highway parcel carries about $51.8 million in land value. Another Royal Road parcel carries nearly $27 million. At that level, calling in a teardown is almost too cute. That is a land position waiting for a spreadsheet with zoning tabs. Andrew has the ownership pattern, and that is where the supply story gets harder to ignore.
Ownership behavior is the surprise. Overall, 53% of in-scope properties are homesteaded, but the split is decisive. Single-family homes are 72% homesteaded. Condos are only 40% homesteaded. That tells you the condo sector is much more exposed to second home, seasonal, and investor ownership. Entity ownership confirms the split. Across the dataset, about 35% of in-scope properties are entity-owned. Condos run at nearly 42% entity ownership, compared with about 24% for single-family homes. Two entities alone hold 281 condo units. That is not a neighborhood argument. That is a cap table with balconies. Then comes the supply lock. Nearly 37% of properties have been held for more than 10 years. 15% have been held for more than 20 years. One property last sold in 1971. That is more than 5 decades of Save Our Homes protection. Selling would reset the tax basis. Inventory is not just tight because buyers like the Grove. It is tight because the tax system rewards staying put. Alejandro has the question buyers and residents can actually answer from the ground.
This is where Coconut Grove gets interesting as a lived market, because two people can say they are buying in the Grove and mean completely different things. One may be buying a condo in a market with lower homestead rates and higher entity ownership. Another may be chasing a single-family lot where the house is almost secondary to the dirt underneath it. Same name, different economics. Same village charm, very different balance sheet. The data also explains why the Grove can feel available in theory and unavailable in practice. A property may exist, a parcel may be visible, but if the owner is sitting on decades of tax protection, the decision to sell is not just emotional, it is financial. So if you know Coconut Grove, drop a comment with the one community we should do a deep dive on next, and tell us whether the Grove feels like a home market, a land market, or both. Vladimir closes with what this means for a real buyer.
The takeaway is that Coconut Grove is not one simple luxury market. It is a condo market, a single-family land market, and a long-hold tax-protected market layered on top of each other. The data does not say every old structure should be replaced. It says the value conversation has to start with the land, the ownership structure, and the tax position before anyone gets distracted by finishes. That is the kind of analysis Big Data Realty runs before our clients ever schedule a tour. Our network of trusted local realtors specializes in data-first market positioning in communities where the deal is often won before the open house. Reach out through the link in the description. First conversation is a data conversation, not a sales pitch. Big Data Realty. We run the numbers. You make the call.